All right, just wrapped up the Harris chain down here with the Elite Series. Had a terrible finish because I could not catch a good fish. So a little on the frustrating side. We caught plenty of fish. I'm gonna walk you through all the baits that I caught the fish on here this week. And we caught a bunch. We caught a bunch of fish, probably 15 plus keepers a day, but we just never had that better quality fish. First day I had 1 3-pounder. Outside of that, I never caught one over 2 pounds. But caught a ton of fish. Talked to and saw some of the other guys. They caught bigger fish doing exactly the same thing that I was doing. So that was a little frustrating, but we're gonna walk you through the different baits. The number one thing that I caught fish on, I could catch fish on at will. I knew they were gonna be a little bit smaller, was a drop shot with a magic worm in the areas that I was fishing a little bit shallower. Anywhere you could find a hard wall, a seawall, a hard line of Kissimmee grass that's shallow and kind of protected, cypress trees, anything like that. The magic worm in either John's Juice or Junebug Dream, Gamakatsu, 1/0 EWG hook, Spro 3/16 ounce tungsten sinker, 10-pound Sunline Murabushi leader. That stuff is strong as nails, man. It's super strong. 12-pound Sunline X Plasma, had that on there on the Daiwa 3000 or 2500 ballistic there, that is. And then of course the cash and drop shot rod, 7.4 soft tip, perfectly accurate cast. You can get it right to where you need it. You got to get it right up next to that hard cover like I was talking about, and you just kind of leave it there, do a little shake, leave it there, a little shake, and then you'll lift up and your bait's moving off. So that was a great way to catch a lot of fish, but I just never caught any bigger ones. Caught a couple decent ones in practice, but in the tournament didn't catch any bigger ones. Another bait I caught some keepers on, but we got a lot of rods, so they're all jammed up, was the old speed worm. This is the regular speed worm, the regular size one. 1/8 ounce tungsten sinker, Gamakatsu 3/0 offset shank round bend worm hook. I was just throwing black because it was sunny and fairly calm. 14-pound Sunline shooter line, Daiwa high speed Zillion SVTW, 7-foot Cashin Icon heavy action rod. That's a nice little combination. You can fling that thing around a good little distance, just slow roll it, and I probably caught 8 or 10 fish on that on day one. Some non-keepers, some keepers. Then on day one, I also was fishing the old Zoom Fluke Junebug with a 3/0. This was a Spro EWG hook. It's a little bit beefier than the regular. It's kind of in between the Superline and the regular with the Gamakatsu. And then, you know, I had probably a 16-inch leader, 14-pound Sunline shooter up to this power swivel. That power swivel, you know, just keeps the line from getting all twisted up. And same rod as the one before, 7-foot heavy action on the worm jig rod in the Cashin. I caught a couple keepers on that day one. And then also on day one, I caught a couple keepers on a plopper. This is a like a walleye style bait. Looks like at the tail of it's a little bent. I hit it on something. Yeah, that's better. Had that on 50-pound Sunline X Plasma, and had that on the Cashin Icon big bait rod. You can heave that thing a mile, whether it's the plopper 130, 110, something like this, that you can absolutely fire that a mile. And the key is that reel. That is the Zillion HD. I love that reel. It's the 8-3-1. That is a bad reel. It will fire a bigger bait like that a long distance. And I was on a big flat, clear water, throwing that around. Like I said, I only had two bites on it, both keepers. Thought I was really onto something, but it didn't happen. Then on day one, the biggest fish that I caught was on the Zoom Mag Speedworm, Tilapia Magic. Good luck in finding that color. I found it at a local tackle shop. 5/16 ounce sinker, pegged the weight, 20-pound Sunline shooter, 7'3", a little bit bigger, 7'3" Cashin Icon worm jig rod with the high speed 8.5 to 1 Daiwa Zillion SVTW. You can fire this thing super long distance, and then just kind of slow crawl it until you get it caught in that grass, pop it 3, and that's when I caught that 3-pounder like that. I thought I was onto something. I fished for another 45-50 minutes in that area, never had another bite. So that's kind of how my tournament went. But then on day 2, I changed it up, changed areas, fished a lot of new water, and the 2 baits that I probably caught most of the fish on were 1/2 ounce jackhammer with a frosted purple spunk shad on the back, and I had that on. I wanted to have a little harder thump, so I had it on the 35-pound Sunline AMZ braid, and it is really a smooth braid, and you can throw it a super long distance. And so I wanted a little bit softer rod. I had that on the Cashin Icon multi-purpose. It's a 7'4", little more moderate action, a little softer there. That's what I wanted for that braid, but it still had enough power to when I got hung in the grass, I can pop it free and pop it, comes off. A lot of times that's when the bites came, but I probably caught, I don't know, 6 or 8 on that on day 2. Caught a 2-pounder on that. That was my 2 something, my biggest one. And then I probably caught a dozen on day 2 on the white swim jig. This is I wanted a full-size swim jig. I didn't go with the mini swim jig because the bites were not hard to come by. Size was hard to come by. I had the Missile Baits Chunky D on the back of there. That thing is that is the ticket, man. When you reel that thing, you can see those hands flapping so hard. That is the absolute key to getting bit on that. And then it was on I was using a 3/8, and then I switched to a 1/2 ounce just to try to trigger some more reaction bites on it. But that was I think it's the Evergreen Grass Ripper. I just needed something full size. Actually, I had a different one on in practice, and it was all beat up, and I didn't like it, and it was the only one I had, so I switched to this one. But then had that on 50-pound Sunline X Plasma. As you could probably guess, Cashin Icon swim jig rod. That thing is perfect. It's got a little more moderate action than most swim jig rods. A lot of guys throw swim jig on flipping stick. That is too stiff, too hard. You will lose fish. You need something a little more moderate, so when they bite it, you can lean back into them, get a good hook set. Remember, we got 50-pound braid here. There's 0 flex in that, especially if you catch them up near the boat. You can rip holes in their mouth if the rod's too stiff. That's a big problem. And then I had that on a high speed. This was actually a 7 to 1 Daiwa SVTW Zillion. Great combo. I threw that all day and caught a ton of fish on it. Just never had a big bite. So a little bit frustrating again. I've got another 6 or 8 rods over here that I threw and just never got bit on. Frog, glide bait, smaller chatterbaits, black and blue chatterbaits. Let's see, Texas rig. I pitched a baby destroyer around, just never got bit on it. So a little bit frustrating here, but no time to rest. Straight on to the St. John's. I got to get my mind right. Got to get my mind right so we can do some damage over there at the St. John's River, defend my title. Because people are going to take shots at me, but they're going to miss. We're going to get after it out there. I appreciate everybody watching. If you have any questions, or maybe you know what I should have been throwing. I've been watching live, so I know what everybody else is throwing. But whatever you were throwing, drop it down there in the comments. I appreciate everybody watching.